What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another movie review. I'm Chase Lee, and the movie I want to take a look at right now is Hobbs and Shaw. No, I will not call it Fast and Furious Presents Hobbs and Shaw because Universal wants you to call it that because that's the actual title of the movie. I'm not going to play your games, Universal, so you played yourself. Speaking of Universal, this comes from Universal, and it is directed by David Leitch, and this is a spin-off of the Fast and Furious franchise, and this one focuses on Luke Hobbs, played by Dwayne Johnson, and Deckard Shaw, played by Jason Statham. They form up to take down Idris Elba, who is a genetically enhanced human at this point. He quotes himself as the Black Superman in this movie, which he basically is. He's very powerful, super strong, really fast. Skin is impenetrable. He is unstoppable unless you shut down his whole wiring mechanism with the push of a button, because that's how complicated it was. Do you really care about the plot? Is that what you're here for? And if you are, God bless you. Because honestly, that's it. I mean, that is the base level kind of plot that we're working with, and it's the same thing over and over again. Like, it makes itself very distinct that it has a first, second, and third act, but they're all the same act, just in a different location. And so they run that for 2 hours and 15 minutes, and they rob you blind, take your money, and then they just laugh in your face as you leave the theater. So, going into this, I was excited. And you're probably thinking to yourself, why? Well, let me explain. So, I actually like the Fast and Furious movies. I've seen them since its first incarnation of it. I was 11 years old when the first one came out. And I remember it was about street racing, about family. That was my terrible Vin Diesel impression. You're welcome. It's about family, street racing, yada, yada, yada. It is what it is, but it was entertaining enough. I like the characters. I like following them around, getting themselves into these hijinks, into these car races. It was fun to watch. Second one, cool. Third one, cool. And then from the fourth one on, well, more specifically the fifth one on, they've gone off the rails. They've gone full-on live-action Looney Tunes, Berserko insanity. And I like that. They're over the top. They are bombastic. They're entertaining enough for me to go sit down, enjoy myself, walk away from that theater, feel ashamed, but also feel very satisfied that I was entertained for 2 hours and I can move on with my life. But that's all it is. It's nothing more. It's nothing I dwell on where I'm just like, man, let me really think about Fast and Furious 6 today and like think about the mechanics of that film. It's like, no, I watch them once, I move on. I might buy them later on, but that's what my relationship with this franchise is. So if you make any type of spin-off to Fast and Furious, I'm going to go see it because you won me over. I'm a sucker at this point. Thank you, Universal. So this is the first spin-off that they have attempted, and you have the director of Deadpool 2 and Atomic Blonde. You have the same writer that's been with this franchise for, I think, since the beginning, Chris Morgan. That's his job at this point. He gets a phone call. Mr. Morgan, we want to do Fast and Furious 20, Mariana Trench. Can you write that one? He's like, sure, I got you. And then they start having car races down into the deep of the ocean. So, I mean, that's what his life is. So he comes back and he does this one. I think my brain is broken because after 9 movies deep into this franchise, this is the first one I don't like. And I think it's pretty obvious why a lot of people aren't digging this. I'm on the same side as most of these people that I've been hearing these reviews from, with it being definitely overlong and everything. But I think it's pretty obvious why this one doesn't work. And it's because you're focusing on side characters and they're not interesting enough to develop a whole movie around. Even as cheesy and corny as the Fast and Furious movies are, you can still kind of get behind Dom and Vin Diesel's character and all the stuff that he wants to do, and even Paul Walker's character, rest in peace, and everyone else that's in those movies, like, you get behind. They're having fun with their role. They banter back and forth, but you can definitely tell that they have some type of bond, some type of family bond, and that's the heart of the franchise. You want to see them do these ridiculous stunts, make it out alive, and then go grill a barbecue in Dom's backyard at the end of the movie. That's what you want to see. but you're focusing on two side characters that didn't really have that much to begin with in the franchise, and you make a full movie around it. And the way they approach to write these characters is just bickering for 2 hours and 15 minutes. Now, it's fun at the beginning to see Statham and Johnson throw insults at each other. It's fun. It's cute. That's what you expect from these characters. One is a cop and one is a villain. They're going to throw insults at each other. But to do it for 2 hours and 15 minutes, no thank you. It gets very monotonous and very boring when you get to the very end. You're like, dude, I just want this to be done with. I got errands to run, man. So let's get this going. So focusing on them two as a main duo for the storyline makes no sense. The story itself and its villain, baseline generic entertainment, which that's what they're going for. But if you're going to make just a generic storyline, really do nothing more with it, but just set up for these really ridiculous action sequences, at least have your main characters entertaining enough. They get boring after a while. This whole movie gets boring. It's not just them. And so focusing on them was a terrible way to go about it. The directing. Listen, David Leitch, he is a stunt guy. He was an uncredited director on John Wick. He's done stuff like Atomic Blonde and Deadpool 2. I know he has talent. But it's almost as if Universal took his hands, tied them behind his back, and then he just was flopping on the floor like a fish for the entire shoot time. As if he had no creative control throughout this entire thing. Is the one thing I can really appreciate about Leitch and Chad Stahelski, who are the guys that brought us John Wick, is that they know how to shoot action. They know how to choreograph things, how to set up things properly, make the camera move, be energetic, be visceral, be entertaining enough to where I can walk away going, that is artistry right there. The story might have been whatever, but the action was top notch. I can't say that for this one. There's no creative vision in this movie whatsoever from David Leitch. It's just, this is definitely a Universal Fast and Furious movie. I felt like there was no creative juice in David Leitch to actually, imprint his style into this movie. It was just like generic action fluff. Even if you want to look at Furious 7 or Fate of the Furious, different directors, but they brought something new to them. And they filmed those action sequences, yes, cheesy and corny, but they were fun to watch. This fast cut editing in this movie is just, once again, boring, monotonous, stuff we've seen before. So there's no creativity behind it, and I don't know why they got him to direct it. You could have gotten anyone off the street to direct this thing, because Universal was going to direct it regardless. So David Leitch's direction, it's whatever. I didn't really care. And I think one of the bigger issues with this movie is that it is boring. Even the action sequences, they are super repetitive. And like I said, they have a first act where they're setting up everything. Then they have a second act that ends with an action sequence. And the third act is literally a replica of Act 2 and Act 1, just in a different location. So towards the end, you're like, this is just loud, kind of in your face action. And I don't mind that, but when you get to the end and the rest of the movie has failed you thus far, I do not care to watch the third act by that point. It's just I'm done, man. So, there's really nothing more for me to say. If you like these kind of big, in your face, bombastic summer movies, this is it for you. I was excited for it. This one just didn't work for me. Terrible focus on the side characters. No creative vision whatsoever, even in the action sequences as a bare minimum. The story's whatever. Idris Elba, sure. Vanessa Kirby, sure. It's everyone's just there. They got a nice paycheck. They were there to, quote unquote, entertain. It didn't really work for me on that front. It was too long. It should have been an hour and a half. I never want to watch this again. And I hear they want to push for a sequel, so good luck. So for me, it's going to be a C-. I think if you're a fan of this franchise and you've embraced it's cartoonish reality, then I say still go see it, give it a watch. You might like it, but I think if you are tired of those movies, good Lord, you will hate this movie even more. So this movie's not for me. Stick to the main franchise, because I think what really worked for me for the main Fast and Furious movies is the characters. We've grown with them all this time. It's Vin Diesel makes the movie, Paul Walker, makes those movies. Like, you focus on two characters that are just bigger for 2 hours and 15 minutes, then what was the point? It's a waste of time. So there you go. There's my review of Hobbs and Shaw. You're welcome. You're probably just like, thank God I don't have to see this now. So let me know down below if you have seen this movie, if you embraced its ridiculousness and you liked it on that front, or if you're like me and you're like, no, thank you, I'm done with these spinoffs and stuff, just stick to the main ones, or if you're just like, you're crazy, I don't like any of these movies. So let me know down below what you thought of Hobbs and Shaw. And that will do it for this review, guys. I'm Chase Lee, and tune in next time for whatever I review next. I will see you guys later.